Okay guys, I'm just gonna post this video in our social media since we for the last year, it has been 1 year that we published our first book, which is something that we've been trying to expose to the social media. And as a indigenous, as American people of this continent, I think we have an idea too. We want to be part of the solution. We don't want to be part of the problems. So that's why I decided to write this in English, Spanish, and Maya's language, and I have an understanding what we should make these policies better. We should make these policies that can benefit the majority. So that's why lately that I know you guys, so many of you that have been scared about the Trump rallies, that he has been saying about something about socialism. But if we really dig into it, finding out what is really means by socialism, as you guys seen, this is the best country to the entire planet. Why? Because pretty much all the big public services is subsidized with federal money, with our taxes, gasoline, public transportation, airplanes, grocery stores, UPS, all the big services is funded, subsidized with government's money. And then the rich people benefits themselves from it. So basically the rich, the 3, 4, 5% that they've been ruling this country, they love socialism. And too big thing that we must look for it for these elections. That what's the next step for the next generation, which is not the Republican Party, not the Democratic Party, but there is a path, there is solutions under the Democratic Party, which is the progressive ideas for the new generation. How can we make this change peacefully with dialogue, talking to each other, electing officials with the same idea that Bernie Sanders has been talking about during centuries, taxing the wealthiest, changing the rules that Joe Biden has made, the rules that Joe Biden has laid out to benefit the big elites that has corrupted the system, like Trump. Trump has benefited himself from these tax cards, from these laws that benefits himself from it. We saw the last couple of months that he hasn't paid taxes. We saw that he filed his taxes just to fix his hair, $75,000. Who made these laws? Joe Biden. So we have to ask ourselves, how do we want to change this mess? Electing progressive ideas. That's why I know I have so many friends, or I know a couple of friends that they describe themselves as Marxists or communists. If you're not voting, Democrat at this moment, understanding, seeing, learning, finding out what Trump has been done to this country, I think you're just against the idea of progressive idea to make real change. So I would like to ask you, I know so many other candidates out there. There is one, the LPSL, which is Gloria de la Riva, a socialist idea. But you hurting our community if you are calling not to vote for Joe Biden. So you're voting for a other party benefiting Trump. And there is other relatives out there. Mark Shatters, which is a Native American. I've been telling him to side with progressive ideas. That's the only way. This is the only way that he can succeed his ideas as Native American. And I know there's a lot of things that Joe Biden has been telling you about it. The migration reform, legalizing 20 millions of undocumented workers that they already here in the United States, which is not going to happen. Joe Biden and Obama administrations, they have the power to do it, but they didn't do it. Why? Because they don't have the majority. House is 435. So to pass a bill at the House, it has to be 240, 245. But so many Democrats that they don't want to pass any immigration reform. And then if you go to the higher branch of government, which is Senate, they have 100 senators, which is the majority today is Republicans, 52. And those people, they voted for an idea, for their interest. We saw what happened with the nominee, which is the Supreme Court. All 40, all 52 voted for it. And Democrats, 48. But they have two independents, which is pretty much sometimes they vote with Democrats and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they vote with Republicans. But in terms of immigration policies, it's not going to make it in the Senate, even if the Democrats they have the majority, because 10 or 5 or 6 or 15 Democrats, they're not going to vote for this citizen path that Joe Biden has been telling you about it. So let's make it clear. We must vote for the economic policies. We must vote for what is going on today about the pandemic. That Trump has been misled us or has been scared the people. Last week, or yesterday, that he was telling, I took it as an insult for the frontline workers, the doctors, that he said to his crowd, to his followers, that doctors, they get paid for each COVID infected, or they get paid or they get money from each people who dies from COVID, which is false. This trying to persuade voters to benefit himself. And I know he's been demanding China with Biden, but Trump has made businesses with China for a couple of decades. Ivanka Trump she still make his items to sell to the public from China. And Trump has complained about Joe Biden's son, which is he worked for a company, foreign company, which is run by FBI, that he didn't have any experience, which is, I agree with it. Nobody should get paid for millions for something that you don't have any experience. Just because your father is a senator or vice president or president, so you have the privilege to get paid doing nothing. Nepotism. But if we saw under this administration, Ivanka Trump, he works at the White House with no experience. He helps one of his closest advisor. She didn't have any experience, policies experience, but still receiving millions, hundreds of dollars as salary. So it's nepotism too. And as you guys seen lately, that Trump has uses his luxurious hotels to benefit himself, making businesses with government or making government to pay for services every time he goes to his properties. Last time that one of the newspapers reported that they used to sell $3 for a cup of water at Trump's properties, and sometimes they don't even serve the water. So we have must understand that we as a hard-working people, we must side with progressive ideas. The gap between the tax card that Joe Biden has talking about for those people who make over half a million a year, they're gonna pay taxes. But for those people who makes less than half million a year, which is 80% of our hardworking people, they're not gonna pay taxes. Doctors, teachers, policemen, or what about the hospitality industry, restaurant industry? So many chefs that they make 70, 60 a year. They're not going to pay taxes. So don't be afraid. Tax the wealthiest, which is Joe Biden has started talking about at this moment. That couple of years before, he didn't talk about it. But Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez has been leading us to change the rules that Joe Biden has passed in Congress and Senate, that Trump has benefited himself from it, to change the rules, to make them pay their fair share for their big tech companies, Amazon, Google's, Facebook, Twitter's. Those are the ones who's making millions, trillions of dollars every year, and still they don't pay any taxes. So that's the new idea, and that's why I'm asking you, for all these friends that they describe themselves not capitalism, but they not voting for Joe Biden. So let's make a vote today for what is ahead, which is the progressive ideas. So a lot to talk about, guys, but make sure just get out and vote and become part of this process. I know after these elections, the history of this country, it will change, because if Democrats takes the majority at the U.S. representative, which is Congress, or if they take the Senate, I know they will come Puerto Rico, D.C. as states. And then if we see all these immigration policies, which is something I don't agree with, because if you pass a law that makes them a clear way to path to become a citizen, this is gonna just create a chaos at the border, because more people they're gonna pour in. We saw what happened under Obama administration, that kids with their mother, if they make it to this side and they already in here, and they let it stay here, and then so many women with their kids, they were trying to pour in more until they changed the rule. If you got stopped with your kids, you get stopped here and you got to have to go back to your country. So that makes a balance of, if you want to be here illegally, you're gonna go back to your country, which is why so many Democrats and Republicans, they don't support any migration reform. Why? Because if they make it, it's just gonna make it harder that so many people they're gonna pour in. But if they're gonna keep these policies that ICE, immigration at the borders, making sure with all these people that who makes it here in the United States illegally, and then they go back to their country. So back home, Mexico, South America, Central America, I know so many people, they think about it like, okay, they didn't make it. I lost a lot of money, so I'm not going back anymore. So that makes it, people can stay in the country where they came from. But there is other issues too. That's why I write this book, which is I describe how we should make change. to the foreign policies, United States foreign policies in economic term about currency. But there's a lot to talk about, guys. But make sure to get out and vote, and don't be afraid what Trump has been telling you about socialism, about COVID. He has failed. He has failed the country, the foreign policies, even the international policies. He has failed the country. So it's time to elect someone that knows very, very much about foreign policies, about domestic policies, who knows or he wants to be a leader of the free world, which is the United States, and making sure the democracy around the globe can look at this country as something we can rely on it. So thank you guys, and share this video. And it's been a year since we published our first book, but our second book should be published in a couple of months. And stay safe out there, and get out and vote, and let's make it to the future, which is progressive ideas. Thank you guys, and share this video.